Chess Diagnostic.
Hello everybody and welcome to Chess Diagnostic. So I'm going to make a quick video today of how I play against the Caro-Kann as white. And the reason I'm doing this is because I just played a really cool blitz game. And I've been studying Bobby Fischer's games because I'm in the middle of showing his Taimanov and Larson matches for the candidates. But I'm going to make a quick video here of how to play the Caro-Kann. So after e4 and c6, obviously black is preparing to play d5 and go into the Caro-Kann. There's a lot of variations where white plays d4, and maybe that's the best. But the variation I prefer is the Panov-Botvinnik attack. And this is actually a favorite system of Bobby Fischer's. He had a lot of wins in this system. So how do you play this attack, and what is it? So basically, white will just simply trade the pawn on d5. He'll play d4, c4, and his main strategic goal is to try to establish a strong protected pawn on c5. The reason for that is because the queenside can become weak, and a lot of times white will just simply have passed pawns on the A and B files, and he can push them. It's a very simple strategy, and I've found it results in a lot of wins. So after knight to f3, another benefit is you can just develop the knight right away. After d5, you just simply take and then play d4. Now, I prefer to prevent this pin on bishop to g4, and if the player plays something like knight to c6 or knight to f6, I'll just play h3. If there is a pin, you can always play c3, but I still go with my plan of something like bishop to e2, c4, and eventually c5 after e6. So h3, knight to f6, bishop to d3, just developing the bishop, e6, and now unfortunately at this point, and this happens a lot, the light square bishop of black is closed in and becomes a bad bishop. So this is definitely the dream position of the Panov-Botvinnik attack for white, and you just continue the strategy of developing your pieces. So I play c4. Now of course black could take, but that relieves the tension and just increases my own activity. And at that point, of course, the c5 strategy is gone, but white definitely has an advantage. Even though he has a isolated d4 pawn, normally you could play d5 and white will just attack in the center or sometimes on the king side. Castles, knight to c3, and after a6, normally preparing to take and then play b5, I play c5. So I got my dream Panov-Botvinnik attack position, and really the strategy is very simple. So after this position with the weak holes, I'll play something like a3, b4, and just slowly advance these pawns, maybe even getting a protected or a passed protected c pawn. And you just advance it down the c file, the b file, or the a file, depending on what black does. So let's see what happens. After the bishop develops, you can see that black is rather cramped. He hasn't really any strategy of where he can free himself. He's going to try to play something like b6, but I'll play a3 preparing b4. If he just plays b6, I'll play b4 and keep an advantage. So these pawns become rather weak, and I have a strong pawn and easy development. I'll play something like bishop to f4, supporting the pawn as well. So we don't see that line. We actually see an idea of a5. He wants to play a4, and actually he does play it. So rook to b1, preparing the b4 advance, and then he plays a5. So I could take that pawn, but actually tactics don't really favor white, even though I still have an advantage in this position. After I play something like knight to b6, takes, white is still very good. He has that really strong knight, and he hasn't really done anything. I haven't done anything special. I've just developed my pieces and followed the Panov-Botvinnik attack strategy. So a4, I decided to play bishop to b5, b6, attacking that pawn, and I really should have just took here and then won a free pawn. So as you can see, already in this game, this is a 2200 player. Already in this game, I'm basically winning because I'm going to have two protected pass pawns on here, connected pass pawns, and just in the endgame, of course, black wouldn't want to trade into an endgame, but if he did, he'd be totally lost. So I just take that pawn, and now my knight takes, and we see a blunder. There's actually a tactic that could have made the game equal again with knight takes. on d4, and then if the knight took, then we get the check, so he's not losing a piece. Instead, he played knight to e4, and now I just totally win by tactics. If you want to try to guess, after here, of course, there's a pin, so I just played knight to e5, winning that knight, and he just gets crushed at this point with bishop to f4. The only defense, very hard to find, and totally losing still. After bishop to g5, I'd play bishop to h2, and the threat still stands, this discovery as well as the knight fork. So he made another blunder with f6, knight to g6, with a double attack, protecting that f4 bishop. And now after queen takes, so that bishop was undefended, there's the knight check. He lost his queen. And I've had many victories like this in the Panov-Botvinnik attack, so I thought I would share it. It's a very simple and effective strategy for white against the Caro-Kann. And there's not really that much theory in the end. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to getting back to the Taimanov Fischer match in the next video. See you then. Bye.
Jack and Jill went up the hill with Jack and Jill fishing.